Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm the Reverend William Levwood, affectionately known as Rev Lev. My pronouns are he and him. I'm so happy to be with all of you this morning. We open and welcome to the ancestral people of this land, acknowledging that our church, like all of Burke, rests on the unceded territory of the Manahoac tribe of the Great Sioux Nation. We seek healing and the realization of justice with the people of this land who live on and their descendants, the present-day members of the Monacan Indian Nation, the Patawomac Indian Tribe of Virginia, and the Piscataway Indian Nation. We honor the ancestors as we move toward healing so that all together we may one day know true justice.
Good morning to you hearty souls who made it here this morning. I know when I was leaving the house at 9:30, that is just when in Springfield it began to pour down hard. And I wondered, how many people would be in church this morning? So very glad to see you. I hope you got a name tag or have put your name on your Zoom name tag. If you need help with that, let us know in the chat if you're online. If you are not new to Accotink, look around. Do you see people you haven't met or haven't spoken to in a while? Help us live up to our mission to be a welcoming and inclusive congregation and a spiritual home for all by reaching out and making a connection. Whether you're a longtime member or a newcomer or something in between, we encourage you to stay for our social hour. We have coffee, and I saw that there were a few sweet nibblies back there to take part, to eat if you would like. And we encourage you to be online if that works out better for you. And you can have the coffee immediately after service.
We're going to light our chalice now with words from our new proposed UU values. You'll see them on the screen in two different slides, and we'll say them all together. Love is at the center of Unitarian Universalism. Love is the practice of our living tradition. As Unitarian Universalists, we covenant to help everyone flourish with dignity, honor the web of life, be beloved community, cultivate generosity, celebrate diversity, transform the world with love. So this month's theme is mystery from our Soul Matters themes this month. It comes from the inspiration section of the proposed revisions to what's called Article 2 in Unitarian Universalism. We use multiple sources in Unitarian Universalism, and we're thinking about changing the language from calling them sources to inspirations. And there's a line in actually our current sources that is also proposed to be in this new version that says that we are inspired by experiences of transcendent mystery and wonder. That comes from our transcendentalist heritage, not just a literary movement, but a social justice movement, and, in case people forget, a Unitarian movement. So last Sunday, we introduced some solstice imagery and explored the power of a darkness that is fertile, that can give birth to love and to justice. This Sunday, my sermon is not what you see in your order of service, where it says surrendering to mystery. It's actually, the title is the title you see at the top of the order of service. So I think many of you know that my spouse is sick with COVID. So while caring for my spouse and caring for our child, since my spouse was sick, I didn't have time to write that sermon, to create that sermon. So I'm going to be sharing with you a sermon that I preached a number of years ago on the winter solstice in 2019 this morning. Now, that Sunday, like today, happened during Hanukkah. So you hear some reflections about Hanukkah today, as well as more exploration about darkness and light. I want to say that I have not added I've cut some stuff, but I haven't added to this sermon from 2019. But I think it has some wisdom that can be applied to the conflict in Israel, between Israel and Hamas. But I want you to know I didn't write it thinking about that conflict, okay? And I'm not making a statement about that conflict. I'm literally preaching a sermon from 2019. So it's kind of amazing, actually, to me, that it does speak to this moment. At least to me it does. So also, next Sunday is a multi-generational service created in collaboration with AUC's pagan group, Sacred Wheel. Very excited about that. And this year, both Christmas Eve falls on a Sunday, So we're gonna have a morning service that's focused on more the secular Santa Claus and Rudolph and Frosty the Snowman. And then we'll have an afternoon candlelight service where we'll sing the more religious carols. Today we're exploring darkness and light and how to remain hopeful and trust that we will get through the hard times together. So I think it's very appropriate, especially for those of the members who were in the choir, that our Time for All Ages today is called Will It Be Okay? Right? It's a little nerve-wracking to get ready for the service without our wonderful music director. So Paulette and I are going to share this story from author Crescent Dragon Wagon. And this is an updated version of this picture book illustrated by Jessica Love. Will it be okay?
Yes, it will.
But what if there is thunder and lightning?
You sit at your window and watch the rain beating down over the houses and streets in the dark night. You see how special it is because the lightning shows the raining sky and countryside and all the city. You pay attention because the loud thunder is calling you, saying, "Look, look, the world is receiving a long, deep drink."
But what if there is snow? Lots and lots of snow.
You put on your red leggings and your orange boots and your pink coat and your plaid scarf and your yellow hat and your fake fur earmuffs and 2 pairs of striped mittens, one on top of the other.
Could you repeat that, Mom? No, I'm kidding. That was a long list. But what if we plant a garden and nothing, not even cabbages come up?
We go to the nursery and we buy 7 tomato plants just in case. When we come home, we dig 7 holes in the garden and put a tomato plant and compost in each one. We pat the earth back around each tomato plant and pour a bucket of water around each one, and we help them feel at home. Then we go inside to read a book. When we come out again, there's a tiny row of cabbage seedlings, and also the bush beans have come up.
But what if a bee stings me?
You run into the kitchen and I rub a piece of raw onion back and forth on the sting. You say,
"A piece of onion? That is silly. That won't work."
But it does.
But what if I am mad at everyone?
You run away. You pack raisins, walnuts, oranges, crackers, and a flashlight in a red bandana. You knot the bandana's 4 corners together, tie it to a stick, and carry it over your shoulder. You walk and walk until you come to the park. You stay all afternoon sitting by yourself under a tree and then on a bench. Then you swing, pushing yourself so hard. You go up so high. You make up a song to yourself about being a bird. And when you come home again, you're not mad at anyone.
But what if someone doesn't like me?
You feel lonely and sad. You walk and walk until you come to a small pond. You kneel in the grass by the edge of the pond and you see something move. You put out your hand and a tiny frog, no bigger than your thumbnail, hops into it. Very carefully, you lift your hand up to your ear and the frog whispers, "Other people like you. Other people love you. Maybe that person will like you again, maybe not. In any case, you are likable and lovable, and it's all right because a frog tells you this, so you believe it."
But what if I forget my lines in the school play?
You make up new ones then and there, and later everyone will say, "What a wise and sensible kid. He forgot his lines, so he just made up new ones."
But what if nobody likes the way I dance?
You go dancing in the woods, alone in the cracked leaves. One day, you meet someone else dancing in the leaves. You dance together. You throw leaves at each other. You gather leaves into a big pile and jump into them. Then you go home and draw pictures and drink cocoa with whipped cream.
But what if you die?
My loving doesn't die. It stays with you, as warm as two pairs of mittens, one pair on top of the other. When you remember you and me, you say, "What can I do with so much love? I will have to give some away." So you love thunder and lightning, snow, planting cabbages, beans. You dance with other people in the leaves and are in plays with them and run away with them and read books with them and get mad at them and make up with them. You love them and they love you, and you eat raisins together.
So it will be okay?
Yes, my love, it will be okay. I'm going to read two poems. One is called Sweet Darkness, and it's by David White. And the other one is called I Have Faith in Nights by Rainier Maria Rilke. I wonder if she was Icelandic, because I just got home from Iceland on Friday. And I'm used to hearing, that kind of pronunciation of words. But I'm going to intersperse the two poems. When your eyes are tired, the world is tired also. When your vision is gone, no part of the world can find you. Time to go into the dark, where the night has eyes to recognize its own. There you can be sure you are not beyond love. The dark will be your home tonight. Your darkness that I come from, I love you more than all the fires that fence the world, for the fire makes a circle of light for everyone, and then no one outside learns of you. But the darkness pulls in everything, shapes and fires, animals and myself. How easily it gathers them, powers and people. And it is possible a great energy is moving near me. I have faith in nights. The night will give you a horizon further than you can see. You must learn one thing the world was made to be free in. Give up all the other worlds except the one to which you belong. Sometimes it takes darkness and the sweet confinement of your aloneness to learn that anything or anyone that does not bring you alive is too small for you.
When your eyes are tired, the world is tired also. I want you to imagine you are entering a long, dark night and ask yourself, what has brought you here, wandering in the dark? What has made your eyes tired? What has brought you to the point of exhaustion and perhaps still continues to plague you, asking for more even though you have nothing left to give? Ask yourself, who is your tormentor? What is their name? Is it grief? Is it injustice, violence or despair, confusion or fear, numbness or a gnawing anxiety that just won't let up and just won't let go? Who is your tormentor? What is their name? When your vision has gone so that no part of the world can find you, time to go into the dark. When your vision is gone so that no part of the world can find you, there is a part of the world searching for you, calling out to you, a bringer of rest, of solace, of redemption, a bearer even of inspiration. When your vision has gone, there is a part of the world that can vision with you, maybe even for you. And that part of the world is calling to you, but you cannot be found. Somehow you have become unreachable. Time to go into the dark, where the night has eyes to recognize its own. Time to go into the dark, a place to rest your eyes, the dark, a place that also has no vision. The poet Rilke says, "You, darkness that I come from, I love you more than all the fires that fence in the world, for the fire makes a circle of light for everyone, and then no one outside learns of you. But the darkness pulls in everything." The poet David White says, "Time to go into the dark. There you can be sure you are not beyond love. The dark will be your home tonight." Rilke says, "The darkness pulls in everything, shapes and fires, animals and myself. How easily it gathers them, powers and people." There, in darkness, these poets are telling us, in darkness, there is a boundlessness that makes space for everything. There is a boundless and embracing love. Sometimes it's the night itself that's calling to you so that it can give you a horizon further than you can see. Sometimes the dark, the night, is the bearer of the redemption you seek. Because this vision is one that cannot be seen, can only be felt. This is the darkness of the womb, sweet darkness of amniotic fluid surrounding you, embracing you, supporting you, buoying you up, holding you. A heartbeat within a heartbeat, a breathing within a breathing. Each of us has been enveloped within those dark waters, those warm, dark waters. In another poem, Rilke writes, "I know in what a human way some imagine the Madonna, yet no matter how deeply I go down into myself, my God is dark. My God is dark and like a webbing made of 100 roots that drink in silence." He says in another poem, "I love the dark hours of my being in which my senses drop into the deep." This is the healing aspect of the dark night, where without vision we can drop into our body, feel our blood coursing through its channels, perhaps even hear it. Wandering in the deep of the night, 1,000 birds take flight. I invite you to put your hand on your heart. Feel the beating of the wings, wandering in the deep of the night in your very own heart. 1,000 birds take flight. We feel in our hearts the birds in flight. We don't see them. In our hearts, we feel the birds in flight. In the foundational epic story of the Haudenosaunee people, Hiawatha wanders for miles, deep in grief. Wandering, he comes to a lake, and the surface of the lake is covered by birds floating on its waters. And then, all of a sudden, the birds take flight. And magically, miraculously, the waters of the lake are pulled up with the birds. The very lake takes flight, rises into the sky. And as the water is lifted into the sky, Hiawatha finds that his grief has also been lifted. He walks down to the lake, now a dry lake bed, and there he finds shells. And from these shells, he makes the first wampum belt, which tells a story of a way forward, not just for him, but for his people. Night will give you a horizon further than you can see. In this story, night for Hiawatha is grief. And the act of wandering in the darkness with horizon further than his tired eyes could see brought Hiawatha a new vision for himself and for his people. A vision that he not only saw with his eyes, but was able to pick up with his hands in the form of shells and make into a vision in the form of the wampum belt. A vision that others could then follow, could live into, could make a future with. Wandering in the deep of the night, 1,000 birds take flight. And our dreams are born on the wings of change. We are weaving the world tonight. This is what the dark night can be for us when we drop down into the dark hours of our being, a place where who we are is not the horizon of who we can become. A place where we can learn that the world was made to be free in. A place where we can give up all the other worlds except the one to which we belong. Sometimes it takes darkness and the sweet confinement of your aloneness to learn that anything or anyone that does not bring you alive is too small for you. I have to say, everything and everyone I have ever known has been too small for me. There is no thing and no person who can accept and embrace all of who I am or all of who I am meant to become. It's too much to ask. Too much to ask from anything, too much to ask from anyone, but it's not too much to ask from the night. It's not too much to ask from that sweet darkness, that webbing that drinks in silence. My God is dark, Rilke wrote. Like that webbing made of 100 roots that drink in silence. And I want to say that my God is dark like a beating heart. Like the beating heart of 1,000 birds taking flight, rising up from a lake of grief on the winds of breath, the winds of spirit. Sometimes I need to descend into and wander in the dark hours of my being where I can drop down into my senses. Sometimes I need that complete and total experience of rest. Sometimes my eyes are just that tired. But other times, I need something to hold onto in the darkness. This Thursday night, the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah began, and it celebrates two miracles. The first is the fact that a small band of fighters, led by Judah Maccabee, was able to drive the Greek army out of Jerusalem. More important to the Jews of the diaspora, though, after the destruction of the Second Temple, after the dispersal of the Jewish people from Jerusalem and the land of Israel, is the other Hanukkah miracle, the miracle of the rededication of the temple. The word Hanukkah itself means dedication. Now, in the temple, there was a light that was meant to burn at all times, symbolizing the eternal nature of God and God's love. The oil was consecrated, was dedicated in a special way that took 8 days to prepare. However, when the temple was recaptured by the Maccabees, they could only find a single small cruse of oil, with not even enough oil to burn for 1 day. But miraculously, it burned for 8 days and nights until the newly consecrated oil could be used. It's important that the rabbinic sages historically haven't emphasized the story of the Maccabean victory as much as the miracle of the oil burning for 8 days. It turns out that that victory led to a dynasty, the Hasmonean dynasty, whose rule of Israel was every bit as tyrannical as that of the Greeks they overthrew. We might see parallels to this today all over the world, even here. By the time of the writing down of the Talmud, it was just clear that the Maccabean reclaiming of the temple had been a temporary victory, right? The temple had been destroyed, and the Jewish people scattered to the winds, forced to wander in the deep of the night. The Jewish people needed a story to assure them, and I think we need a story to assure us, that though it seemed like the light would go out, that the last small cruse of oil didn't even hold enough oil to burn for 1 day, the Jewish people needed to know that they would survive, that miraculously the Jewish people would survive, just as that oil had miraculously burned until hope returned. So I said there are times when I need something to hold on to in the darkness. And in the most terrible time in my life, the Hanukkah candles have been that. So light a candle or 2 or 8 or 9. Let them burn through the long, dark night. When you need something to hold on to, when you need a story of light that keeps burning even when we don't understand how, that continues burning even when we feel there is no hope left. Now, a warning is in order here, because when we grasp for something to hold on to in the darkness, it's easy for us to reach out in malice, to reach out for a weapon. In those times when we need something to hold on to in the darkness, it's tempting to give into zealotry, to make a light that keeps others out, to close ranks and put our hope in a victory over the forces of darkness. And inevitably, the forces of darkness are imagined to be embodied by someone other than us. I believe these two Hanukkah miracles have much wisdom to offer us today. and that the greater miracle isn't an unexpected military victory that history has shown us too often can just give way to a new form of tyranny. The wisdom for us to take is to remember that lashing out at those who are different from us is no victory at all, but rather a prelude and a precondition for more trauma and tragedy. And that no matter how victorious we might be in that battle, we've lost. We've lost what truly matters. The miracle to put our trust in is trusting that the light will continue to shine, even when we don't understand how, even when we feel there is no hope left. Right now, it might seem like there isn't enough oil to keep that lantern of love and hope burning through the night. It might feel that way to you about something in the state of the world. It might feel that way to you about climate change. It might feel that way to you about something in your personal life. When your eyes are tired, the world is tired also, the poet tells us. When your vision has gone, no part of the world can find you. That is the time when we need to go into the dark, to wander in the deep of the night, to give up all other worlds except the one to which we actually belong, to open as Hiawatha did, to open to our grief, so that hope may rise up from the lake on the wings of change. As 1,000 birds take flight in our hearts, we are weaving the world. This is how we rededicate the temple. And when we do, 1,000 birds will take flight. When we do, we will feel our heartbeat in flight with the heartbeat of the world. When we do, we will know we do not take a breath, but rather our breathing is a breath within a breath. Our hearts beating a heartbeat within a heartbeat. Wandering in the deep of the night, 1,000 birds take flight. May it be so. Amen, 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 and blessed be.
Please rise now in body or spirit and join in our closing words. This church is dedicated to the proposition that behind all our differences and beneath all our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together in spite of time, death, and the space between the stars. We pause now in silent witness to that unity.